everybody. Welcome back to the Semi-Professional Academic Podcast. As always, I am your host with the most undid piles of laundry in my bedroom, Jacob Watts. And joining me today is the oh so kind, the incredibly intelligent, and fellow Swiftie Steven Li.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
But Steven, thank you for coming on for the show. I don't even know how we connected really, but I've been following Steven on Instagram for I think a year now.
I think so. From my side of things, I just remember it was peak pandemic. I had finally caved into downloading TikTok, and I think your page came on. And
Oh,
then it was also like we were both, I think, studying for the MCAT at that point, and I was like, me and him, we're struggling through it right now.
yeah. Steven won though. Steven won that struggle. I lost so hard, but here we are.
I can't say that I'm winning either, to be honest with you.
You're in medical school.
Mm.
Did,
It's a struggle though.
that's a different struggle. That's a different struggle.
Correct.
Oh my goodness. Well, Steven, just for the people who may not be as familiar with you, would you mind just giving us a little bit of background information about who you are, where you're from, that kind of thing?
Okay. Hi, my name is Steven. I am just turned 25. I'm in my second year of medical school down at West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine. I grew up in Dexter, Michigan. It's like a little small farm town right outside of Ann Arbor. I went to Michigan State up in East Lansing. I studied neuroscience and psychology, graduated in 2020, peak pandemic. Yeah.
So you did nothing. Okay.
Pretty much, yes, correct.
Oh my goodness. Med school's a whole other beast, from what I've heard.
Every day I'm like, maybe I'm gonna drop out. So that's where I'm going with I don't know if I won the battle here because every day I'm contemplating my life existence, and you're clearly I feel like thriving more than I am.
No, it's all a facade. It's all a facade.
Take
When
it till you make it, they say.
literally, I have so many life mottos that are like that. My favorite one is FIWB though.
What does that mean?
Fuck it, we ball.
Okay, yup.
You know, I told my advisor that, and she was just like, "What does that mean?" And I'm just like, you just send in it. You just you know what? If nothing
Mhm.
else, let's just give this a go.
Yep. That's my life motto is just send it. We'll just send it and find out.
Yeah, fuck around and find out. That was about my whole life.
That is also me lately. I'm just like, just gonna fuck around. We'll see what happens.
Okay, Steve, you talked about your studies at Michigan State.
Mhm.
Did you what kind of led you to that path and why you chose to study there and in that discipline during your undergrad?
So, growing up where I am, I'm right outside of Ann Arbor, which is where University of Michigan is.
Mhm.
And that being a very prestigious school here in the Midwest, that was always a dream for my parents for me to go there. And that was also something that I strived to go to as well. But I grew up with kind of stereotypically with a tiger mom. And so she was always very harsh on me with academics, making sure I get everything done, straight A's, all of that jazz. And so I really, I think, put on too much stuff on my plate in high school that kind of was detrimental to my overall grade, I would say. And so that kind of, in the end, long story short, I got waitlisted from Michigan, got into Michigan State, but it was obviously very devastating. But we worked through it. I was like, okay, I have friends there. I'm gonna just go see how it goes. First semester was very rough because I didn't have that many. I had friends there, but not my closest friends, and so that was a hard transition. I almost considered transferring after the first semester, but I'm a little bit stubborn in ways that once I start something, I don't like to give up on it. And so I was like, I'll push through second semester. And so things got better, and I ultimately ended up staying at Michigan State. And in regards to what why I ended up studying what I did was one of my electives during senior year of high school was Psychology 101. And that was like my first ever introduction into anything psychology. And that would just really pique my interest. And like, I loved learning how like the human behavior works, how the brain like makes you think the way you do. And then that really led me to neuroscience. And after like talking to with my college advisor, both majors kind of core aligned, like aligned it a lot. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna do both of them. It was definitely a lot of work. So like I took like a handful of summer classes to like ensure that I graduated in 4 years. And so yeah, that's kind of how I ended up studying what I did.
That's nice. Like I don't know how to word this, but like I love that like path of like how you find something and you're just like, this is really cool. I'm gonna make this work. Like that was me. I mean, like I went to undergrad knowing I was gonna study biology,
Mm,
and then I was like good at English, surprisingly, even though I can't speak it, but I can analyze it. So I in my school was like that liberal arts school where you had to take like one of everything.
mm,
And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like I'm like really enjoying these English classes. So I was a double major unofficially in English and biology for like a hot second. But then I remembered English makes you do either a thesis or a seminar or like a actual like class second semester. And I'm just like,
mm.
no. So I just full on dropped like that whole idea so quickly.
You're like too much work, can't do it.
too,
Nope.
too much work because like where I was at, we didn't have an honors college because we were so small.
Okay.
And there was no thesis in biology.
Mm.
I was like, bye. And then I was like, no. So all my friends were struggling with their thesis, and I was just like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
Be like, have fun with your struggles. Thank you.
Have fun. Little did I know I'd be struggling for a lot longer.
Mm. You know, in retrospect, things happen. Things even out. The playing field levels.
Yeah. Also, I just want to take a time to point out because I'm stalked Steven's Instagram before this, and his bio says psycho from a Midwest suburb.
Mm. It's a lovely lyric from actually one of our graduates from Michigan State, Quinn 92. It's
Yeah.
from I think Straight Jackets by him. And I just feel like that embodies me because I am a psycho and from Michigan and Midwest.
He says psycho, and there's literally a picture of him pinned in this sunflower field. I don't feel like psychos do that.
I mean, if you read the caption, probably not on air, but like if you read it, it's like, okay, this it's the image to the caption is two very different things.
The caption though does send me. What does China and the sunflower field have in common? They are both yellow and overpopulated.
Exactly.
As a white person, I'm not going to comment on that. Um, but like after that kind of like first semester, like because you said, and I think that's very true for a lot of people, Stephen, is like that first semester is always so rough, like in multiple ways, because you're getting adjusted to the college curriculum, college
Mhm,
expectations. Also, like you go from having like some of your best friends around like all the time to
mhm,
being, even if they're at the same school, like completely different schedules and different workloads. You kind of talked about it a little bit, but do you feel like after like, because I'm very similar and like stubborn, like I will put myself through hell just to prove a point.
Yep.
And do you feel like after you found like what you wanted to study and you got acclimated to campus more, do you feel like the people like your friend, like you made new friends and like your people came naturally more to you like at school after that?
Uh, I definitely think so. So what really like got me to stay was I rushed a academic fraternity. It's like a co-ed fraternity my second semester.
Oh, cool.
And um that kind of I mean there was a lot of things that I had to do for that, which made me feel more involved on campus. And obviously through that I met a lot of good friends, and like some lifelong friends in the end of everything. And I think just kind of being more involved on campus, like being able to see familiar faces while I'm like walking to class, like Michigan State's a very big campus. And so like that very first semester, it was pretty daunting. I was honestly like I would just go to class and then just go back to my dorm because I was like, it's a wild beast out there. My social anxiety could never. And so um I think after a while and like being able to see like other members in the fraternity and like other people in my like rush class, like we would always like hang out, do things together. That kind of made that gigantic strange world be a little bit smaller. It also kind of like at the end of the year, that first year, kind of like, oh, like this is home. Like I feel at home because it's like I have people that I can like, rely on, people that I can call friends. And like it just made everything feel less like afar. And as with like classes, like, after like you get the first like semester jitters out and you kind of like know your way around campus, like stuff like that. Like that first couple of weeks, I got lost like many times. And like our bus system, I got on the bus like many times going different directions. After you like figure it out, like after those like freshman fears and stuff like that, and she's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm not like a lost puppy out in the world. It really kind of just all of that together made you feel like, okay, I feel settled now. Like maybe this will actually work out.
Awesome, awesome. I can never relate to getting lost on campus because in my undergrad there's 1,100 students.
I see.
So I always feel like I missed out on like that experience, but like,
It has its like ups and downs, I think. Um, I mean, growing up in like a smaller town, going somewhere like that, it was definitely like a shell shock.
yeah. Okay, wait. How small is your small town? Because I realize people have very
Mm-hmm.
different definitions of small towns, and I am small town CEO. So how
Okay.
how
When you
small?
say it like that, I feel like my I might not be a small town, but our graduating class was like I think 300 something.
My graduating class was 90.
Yeah,
We
see,
have a one stoplight in the entire city.
over the years I've learned that I my town is no longer a small town.
Yeah, don't insult me with that language over here. If you have more stoplights, I'm not talking about sections. I mean like the actual lights on the actual yellow thing at the stoplight. If you have
Mm.
more lights than churches in your city, it's not a small town.
I'm trying to calculate all the stoplights we have in our town right now. I think it's like,
Multiple. You see, you're done. You're done.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
Apologize now to everybody. Small
I'm
town,
sorry, everybody.
it's
I'm
okay.
a big city boy here.
I literally grew up in a town of like maybe 2,000 people for 18 years. Then I went to undergrad for 4 years with at maximum 1,200 students in the whole
Mhm,
college,
mhm,
like whole school. And then first week here at UK, and
mhm,
like I said, I
mhm.
was like, wow, I'm a city girl. Like I've always been like completely like acting like I'd been here like my entire life. It was stupid.
You're like, welcome to New York. I'm here.
Is it bad that I played Welcome to New York like the day like I moved in to Lexington?
As you should.
Oh my gosh. I could get derailed with Taylor Swift. So, and I'm going to. But I am going to touch back on the academic fraternity because I do have questions. But can we talk about the Eras tour?
Oh, can we talk about the Eras tour? What do you
What?
want to know? Because that was life changing.
Okay, because I went to Chicago night three.
Detroit Night One, baby.
And I went, what were your surprise songs?
It was Haunted.
Um,
Sent me. That was it. That was on my bingo card for 2023. And I was like, she knew.
she knew.
She knew I was there and chose me.
She knew I was there and chose me. No,
Uh, the other one I honestly couldn't remember because I blacked out.
no,
I don't think I listened to the other one.
that's so real. That's so real. No, because listen, Chicago Night 3, I told everybody, like when Midnight's dropped, because Hits Different was initially my favorite song on Midnight's when it came out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And she wasn't releasing it. It was a Target exclusive. Da 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 da. And I told like my friends and like my group of friends that was going. I was like, Hit Stiffer is my number one, but she hasn't even released it, so there's no way she's gonna play it as a surprise song. So it's my number one, like really. But in practicality, Getaway Car is my number one. And then like a week before my show, they played Getaway Car.
You're devastated.
I was devastated. I was a fan of Getaway Car when it came out. Like if Getaway Car has a million stands, I'm one of them. If Getaway Car has one stand, it's me. If Getaway Car has no stands, it's because I've been erased.
You're dead.
Not even dead. Not even dead. I have to be erased from existence. I have to be Thanos snapped away.
Okay. Yes, I get it.
So to take that devastating of a loss almost broke me. It did break me. I'm not gonna lie. It broke me. But I've never been to a concert before because my social anxiety just has always been a no. And then my friend somehow got a code, and which I feel like I feel like you are more likely to hit the lottery than to get a Taylor Swift.
Oh, literally. I was fortunate enough that my friend Sarah, she is a concert going icon and somehow snagged us 2 tickets in the battle that is Ticketmaster. And I'm forever in debt to Sarah. So
when Taylor Swift wrote "Let's Go Battle," I did not know she was forecasting the Ticketmaster.
Yep. And the Great War, it was about that.
The Great War. I have tried to get tickets for both legs of the US tour. And even in Ireland for the international. And if we're going by like, not if I'm going, if I just got a pre-sale code, I am batting 0 for 8.
Oh no, Jacob.
0 for 8.
I feel that.
But I have to give a shout out to Shelby O'Neill, my good friend Shelby. Like, she doesn't watch the show, but she is the whole reason I was able to go the first time. But back to the original derailment of this interview. Getaway Cars played. I'm like, you know what? Whatever surprise song, like maybe I'll get New Romantics, da 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 da. Because New Romantics it's
also a bop.
It was my favorite, and I've stand Getaway Car and New Romantics enough that I've seen people who hated on me say like, "Oh, this is my favorite." I was like, "No. You don't get to enjoy these. You do not get to." Enjoy them. And so, surprise song comes, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I was so excited, like so ready. Because 1989 and Reputation are my 2 favorite albums of all time. And like Taylor's doing like her talk thing.
Yeah.
And part of me is so wonderful, but part of me is just like, just play the damn song. I need to know. I need to know. Like, and what I love about Taylor Swift is that you can be so happy or so fucking sad from any song. And I was like, I need to know what emotion I'm going to feel. Like, in the
right. Yep. It's like, am I crying? Am I screaming with joy? Like, what am I?
All the above. I don't know. And so she goes, I don't know if you've heard this one. It's kind of new. So I was like, okay, like, are we getting
like Midnight something?
Okay, it's like we're Midnights. Like, are we getting like Maroon? Are we getting Question? Like, Mastermind was already on the set list, so like I love Mastermind. I knew Karma. Like, we're not getting that. It was like, are we getting your own kid? Because that was like one of my faves.
I was devastated when that was off the tip. I was glad. I was like, she played it. I was like, oh, she can replay it again. I was like, okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, when she heard it be like, any song off Midnights I can do again, I was like, okay, thank God, because You're on Your Own Kid was written about me, I swear.
Same.
No, but then she starts playing the guitar, and I was like, it's like, I don't know. And then she starts singing Hits Different, and I collapsed right then and there. Like, I'm with all my friends because all my friends know that was my number one surprise song. And it was my first time ever going to a concert. It was my first time seeing Taylor live, which I mean, like, kind of implied was my first concert. And my outfit was like kind of a crossover between 1989 and Midnight in
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
theory. Although some people really just said it looked like Mirror Ball, which like I'm not mad at, but like that was not the intent. Um, so I was just like, wow.
She looked at the roster of who's coming and was like, Jacob. I was like, okay, hits different on the set list.
Yeah. Hits different, and I'm just like, wow. Like I looked out at everyone and I even said, thank you all so much for coming to my show with Taylor. Like, thank you all so much. Like, the and people liked, and people still say I'm not great at manifesting. Like,
Mm,
you mean
I,
you mean I did all this and y'all still doubt me? How dare you?
honestly, I felt the same way until that day. Because literally like a week before, Sarah and I, we like sent each other our top 10 surprise songs that we would want to hear. And hers was hers was Haunted, number one. I had Back to December and Haunted top two.
A solid top two.
hmm We're like, we're in Detroit. That's where Taylor Lautner, that's what he's from Grand Rapids. That's what the song's for. I was gunning for Back to December. But Haunted came on. Literally, I have a video of me and Sarah just absolutely screaming and not comprehending what happened. And then, screaming the rest of the song. It was just, I was like, I did that. We manifested that. We came, we saw, we conquered.
We saw. What's your favorite album of hers, though?
Oh,
Is it Red? I know your outfit was inspired by Red.
Red is good, but I think all-time favorite, hands down, would be Reputation.
Okay, thank you. Like,
Yeah.
I say this as if like I'm fighting. I love Reputation for multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It was the lowest point in her career.
Mm-hmm.
It was her sophomore pop album,
Mm-hmm.
which I would argue that has themes of gospel in there, but like that's a debate for another.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Absolutely love it. And I will say arguably is the greatest comeback of all time by any
Mm-hmm.
musical artist, like really.
Mm-hmm. Comeback, clapback, like it was great.
Yeah.
It was really like I've listened to Taylor Swift before that album, like the classic Love Story, Fearless, like all Speak Now, all of those. And I think what really got me into like Taylor was Reputation. And so I think like deep down it holds a true place in my heart.
I say this, every bad bitch has a strong emotional tie to Reputation.
Oh, 100%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Your boy's in his fall folklore Evermore era, so that's where we're vibing at.
do you feel like, I know like they're sister albums, but do you think Evermore and Folklore in the same season or opposite seasons?
I would say yes, they are sisters albums, but I definitely think that the vibes are too. There are notes of similarity, but I think overall they are two very different. I feel like folklore to me is a little bit more kind of sad. No, hold on. Yeah, no, to me it feels more sad. Evermore for me feels like a little bit more reminiscing, like a little bit happier ish tone to me.
Evermore to me is Folklore's older sister,
Yeah.
which I know doesn't make sense because Evermore came after Folklore, but
hmm
like really the vibes to it, because like you, I think like Folklore is kind of like that. It's very now, like I'm going through all this now.
That's what I was just gonna say. It feels like everything's like she's going through a heartbreak through folklore, and like Evermore is like you said, like the older sister's like, yeah, like I went through all of that. Here's my advice for you to get through all of that.
Yeah. And I absolutely love it. I mean, probably my favorite song off Evermore is either Long Story Short or Marjorie.
Mine's Tolerate It.
Oh, who hurt you?
The world hurt me, Jacob. The world stabbed me, and I've been living the consequences since.
So
We'll unpack that at a later time.
be like, no, no, I don't even know. The world stabbed me and I'm living with the consequences.
Yes. I'll
Oh,
collab with Taylor on that one.
you heard of death by 1,000 cuts. I'll get ready for.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. No, I say all this is random, but I say all the time that the first real pair of sister albums was Reputation and Lover.
Mm.
Because if you like really listen to it, like of course Reputation's like a very clap back, like no F's given.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like that's also about like a love that she has where she's not worried about anything else. She's like literally just enjoying it. She's doing what she wants. And it's like this very like it's this very F it, I'm in love kind of thing. Where if you go to Lover, it's very oh fuck, I'm in love, like kind of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything's like so bad for her in Reputation that she finds this love and to where she's not worried about anything bad happening because everything bad is already happening. So she's
Mm-hmm.
enjoying this love like fully carefree. But then in Lover, when things start to get better and things are like going good for her, then she's reminded about how everything can be good, how once everything's good, everything can be bad again. So that's where all that anxiety comes from Lover. That's why I feel like those two are the original sister albums.
I see that. I totally see that. Yeah. And I think it's just like Reputation with just everything going on and like the scrutiny that she had. And so she is like always under the scope of judgment. And she felt like she might be in love, but like everybody is like, oh, she's like, gonna write a song again and like things are gonna break up again. Whereas like I feel like in Lover, she's just herself. She's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna love to the fullest at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like she really found her place, her person, and is just living her best life.
Yeah. R.I.P. Joe and Taylor.
I still think it's not real, but it is what it is.
I will say though, my favorite one of her exes though is Taylor Lautner. Light. It's Lautner. Did you know
Lautner. Yes, I've seen many TikToks about that.
that hurt my soul to know like for many years. It's wrong. But no, Taylor is my favorite ex of hers.
I feel like if it was a different season and it hadn't been things that didn't happen the way it did, maybe we would have had a better love story for them. But just how the cookie crumbled for them.
And I'm sorry, Midnight Rain is about him. Midnight Rain is about him. Like no one can tell me otherwise.
Yeah, I could see that. I
Okay.
feel like there needs to be an English analytic course just on Taylor's
There
entire
is.
discography.
There is.
It needs to be more everywhere is
I
what everybody needs to be educated.
I need them to make a biology course about Taylor Swift. Like, please, like I'll teach it, like or whatever. Like I need plot twist becomes a professor just so I can teach a biology course with Taylor Swift.
I'll be the first person to sign up. I'll
Oh,
be there.
I'll graduate from medical, everything. Like, be like, okay, I gotta take the day off. I have class. Like, bye.
I'll be there every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. Oh my gosh, that sent me back to the actual interview, not just Taylor Swift.
The academics.
I could talk about Taylor Swift all day, and I have multiple times, but
I feel like you could make a separate podcast for that.
I do, and I don't know if I'm ready for that to take over my whole life yet. Stephen, you mentioned being in a academic fraternity,
Mhm.
and I have to ask because I'm one thing about me is I'm nosy and I have no filters, so I ask very invasive, on the point of like rude questions.
Okay, hit me.
How did your, as you describe it, tiger mom react to when you told her you were joining a fraternity? Like just the idea of that, or did she like kind of like know like about academic fraternities, or did her mind just go to like what she saw in Animal House?
So, okay. Um, My parents are they're immigrants, and so I'm like a first generation college student. And so how I introduced it to them, I was like, "Oh, I'm just joining a extracurricular organization."
You went vague. See, this is how you know if you grew up with like very
Strict
like
parents.
strict parents because you get to the point where you're so vague about things.
Uh-huh. It's not lying.
It's not lying. That's what I say. I mean, like I've been there, done that.
But I think even if I like did tell her what like a fraternity is, like if I just told her like, "Hey mom, I'm joining a fraternity," I don't think she knows what that means anyway. She's never been in that environment before. So she doesn't know, like she doesn't watch things that like portray fraternity, so she wouldn't understand regardless. And so kind of to her, it was just like, oh, an extracurricular activity where my son is going to be meeting new people, like doing things that are good for his resume, blah, 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 blah. Because to her, that's like what's important is that like I'm doing things that are bettering myself.
Oh, good. So from that, like kind of like branching off,
Mhm.
do you describe it like immediately as like an academic fraternity, or do you just say fraternity and look what people say? Because when I say I was in a fraternity in undergrad, the I see like people's eyes just whiten,
Mhm.
like I've done something like insane.
So I sometimes I do just say like, oh, I was in a fraternity. But sometimes I do it just kind of rolls off my tongue as just like, oh, I was in a co-ed honors fraternity.
Mhm.
And so they're like, oh, you're in a SRAT?
That's rat.
I was like, yeah, pretty much.
That sounds like an insult. Like
I know, right?
fucking strat. I'm gonna use
Um,
that as such. I'm gonna use that as such now.
yeah, because I once like when I was home for like the holidays, I explained to one of my friends. She was like, "So you're in a SRAT?" I was like, "I guess you could put it that way." But I kind of wanted to not go because like coming from like going to Michigan State, like a big school like that, and it's like you know it boils down to like it is a like kind of a party school.
Mhm.
And so I in a way didn't want to be tied with something like there's been scandals and there's been like things with fraternities at Michigan State that have done bad things. And so like in a way I was like I kind of tread carefully around like, oh, I am not part of Greek life.
Right, right. And totally understandable, like not wanting to
Hmm.
run the risk of being correlated with that. And totally
Hmm.
get that. I think it's cool because my undergrad we didn't have academic fraternities, sororities, like really,
Hmm.
but not about me. Anyways,
See, for me, I knew going into college, I was like, I wouldn't survive a Greek life frat. And so I didn't know anything about like an academic kind of fraternity, like something that's not related with Greek life. And so I like got like an email at like the beginning of second semester and was like, hey, like this is going on. And so like I went and checked it out because like in no way in hell I would have joined an actual Greek life fraternity.
no, and this is one of the reasons why I'm so grateful I went to a smaller school because my Greek life experience is not anything like Greek life experiences at big schools.
Hmm.
And like I don't know if that was just like the chapter that I had or like just being in like that small school environment. I don't know what it was,
Hmm.
but like I genuinely had like such a good time. There was no hazing. It was so funny that like when we were going through initiation, like we hazed ourselves. Like
Same.
so like we would go around and like we'd see like a brother on campus and be like, "Yes, sir, 100 push-ups, sir." And they were like, "Stop, stop, 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 stop."
Yeah, that's how we were too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd make fun of each other and stuff like that. And it's like not actually anything that the actual brothers would do when we were like rushing. It was just like a self-inflicted hazing.
I don't know. I'm so grateful for like that experience. But like, yeah, like at a bigger school, I would not have survived a Greek life experience.
Yeah.
So you get through undergrad, you
Hmm.
graduate in 2020,
Hmm.
the height of the pandemic, like the start of the pandemic.
Yep.
What was going through your mind like when we all got sent home?
Honestly, I think initially, I think what I had in mind was similar to everybody else. Because for us, we had just come back from spring break, and it
Mhm.
was like literally 2 days, 3 days in, and they sent us back home. And I think, like everybody, like I think our school was like, oh, this is like a temporary thing. Like you're not going to be gone for so long. And little did we know that it would be like a 2-year thing. So in my head, I was like, oh, like sweet, like I get to go home. I was living off campus, and so I had to pay rent, and but we were able to get out of our lease because they were like, oh, if you want to leave, that's like we're okay with that, and we'll reimburse you for the rent. And so I was like, perfect. I only lived like an hour from school, and so like I came home. I didn't have to cook for myself. I was living my best life, and I was like, I could just roll out of bed and just sit on a Zoom call and like go through my classes. And so I think initially it was really nice, and then I think as the pandemic got worse and like things got more serious, then it started kind of just being like you have to deal with the harsh reality of the pandemic itself and like all the large numbers of people dying every day and like that kind of aspect of things. But also for me, academic wise, I was like, I'm finishing up school. I am at that point, I am starting to study for the MCAT. I'm trying to apply for med school. And so academically for me, it was just a lot on my plate. And being quarantined and not like seeing any of my friends, not being able to just go out and kind of, do anything, like cabin fever was like real time high. And it
Yeah.
was like I was going insane.
Mhm. I feel like if you survived the cabin fever of the pandemic, you can survive mental torture. I fully believe that.
Honestly, yeah, I feel like if you locked me in a dark room with no other things, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'll just go to sleep
I'm
for a little
bored.
bit."
Go to sleep really would. Oh my god. So you like kind of touch on like another thing. So you graduate in 2020
Mhm.
and you started the study. Is that like during that time you're also studying for the MCAT, correct? Did I get that right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, was the plan always med school?
Yes.
Hmm.
Going into undergrad, that was the plan. I was always pre-med. That was what the end goal was.
No. Nice. What motivated you to pursue medicine? Like when did you know it's like, yeah, I want to go into medicine?
I so with that question, it kind of goes back to my tiger mom and just like kind of the Asian stereotype, unfortunately. My parents, especially my mom, has always wanted me to do something in healthcare, just like, because my parents were, again, like they're immigrants, and so they kind of also grew up really poor and not like didn't have a good education or an education at all. And so like for them, like, our parents are harsh on us because they want the best for us.
Hmm.
And so like to in their eyes, like being something in a medical professional, it's like it's good income, good pay, like good income, good work, good job stability, all of that jazz. And so to them, it's like that was always something that they wanted me to do. And I mean, to them, that's kind of all they kind of knew. It's like, being a doctor, being a lawyer, like those things are good paying jobs with good stability. They don't know about like, the tech industry, about engineering. And so in their head, that's like what they had in mind for me. And so I kind of always had that simmering in the back of my mind. And I think what really like finally clicked for me and like what got me saying like, oh yeah, this is really what I wanted to do was had a part-time job. I think it was the summer between my freshman and sophomore year. I worked with kids with disabilities as like just kind of like a caretaker. And so I worked with like 4 different kids in my time there, and just doing that was just so impactful. And like to see like even like just the minor help that I was able to provide was just so beneficial to like the families as well as the kids that I was helping. And so that really clicked in my head. I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. This is the path that I wanted to take.
Perfect. No, I totally get that though. Like, I think you're so right. Like, our parents are tough on us because they just don't want us to struggle in the ways that like they might
Mm-hmm.
have.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I totally get that. Maybe not to the same extent, but like my mom and dad like made it like very clear, like you gotta go to college, you gotta da 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 da.
Yeah. Yep.
I relate to that on some levels. And I want to talk on it because you talked about how you're in your, are you in your second year or third year at
Second year.
second year? Okay. So you're an M2 at West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where that brief time I was pre-med comes in handy. So a lot of people don't know that there's the MD doctor and there's the OD doctor,
Mm-hmm.
which is like your what a lot of y'all will probably are familiar with, like medical doctorate. And then we have the osteopathic medical doctor. And
Mm-hmm.
what motivated you to pursue osteopathic medicine as opposed to the traditional like MD route?
For me, the osteopathic, like the view. So like just a quick, like the differences is that like the osteopathic way is just they look at taking care of a patient in more of a holistic background, whereas like an a traditional MD would just kind of see the issue, treat the issue. And so with osteopathic, we find ways to treat it without like straight going to medication or like surgery and stuff like that. And so we also get like the benefit of osteopathic manipulation. And so like we learn how to use our hands to treat certain things. And so the holistic aspect of medicine just more aligned with how I was kind of raised to view medicine. And so, like with traditional like Chinese medicine, it's like a lot of things like, herbals and like, Tai Chi and like other things that don't require you to take medications because that was just not something that was an option. At least like my family didn't really ever take medications often. Like my parents would always stew like some kind of like tea or like made it's like it was always like, oh, you have a headache, like drink some water and get some rest. Like it's not like, oh, pop some ibuprofen. And it was also like acupuncture and like there's like cupping. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Like athletes will have like those big round hickeys on their backs.
Yeah, does it
um
help like blood circulation and all that
Blood
stuff?
circulation, yep, exactly. And so to me, like having grown up around that, I've always had a more holistic approach to medicine. And so to me, that's kind of aligned with me a lot better.
Nice. And so, like following up with that, what made you decide to go to West Virginia?
That, truth be told, is where I got in.
That's so real. That's so real. That's so real.
I wish I had some, some heartwarming story about about me falling in love with the mountains up over there, finding Mothman, all that jazz. But no, it was just truly where I was accepted, and that is where the wind took me.
That's so real. And like, I think a lot of people don't understand just how hard it is to
Mhm.
get into medical school or any kind of like graduate professional school. Like, it's insanely hard. Like, I know for me, like when I was doing my PhD, I had to reach out, and it's a little different for many reasons, but like I had to reach out, find an advisor. So many programs were not taking anybody because they just couldn't. And then I interviewed and applied to multiple different schools. And then UK was my number one choice, which works out great because it's the only school I got into.
Mhm.
So, like same like thing of that, I'd be like, this is where I got in. Like, here we are.
Yeah. I mean, like with you having that like pre-med background and like having, gone through the MCAT and all that jazz, like, yeah, it is really hard. Like for me, like I took 2 gap years. Like I graduated in 2020. I didn't start med school until fall of 2022. And so like I took the MCAT 4 times. I went through the cycle, like the application cycle 3 times. And so like even like to my mom, like after like going through the process a couple times, she was like, wow, like she didn't know how the process was. She just thought like it was a kind of undergrad where you like apply and you would definitely get in at least somewhere.
Mhm.
And so it was like a rude awakening for honestly for me and my parents to like see me like falter that many times going through this process. And kind of to allude back to your point, it's like, oh, was like medicine always the like being a doctor was always my like first choice. Like I by like the last application cycle, like I was gearing up to like switch paths. Like I was looking into like, maybe doing a PhD or like doing something else. And that was a rough couple months of like just contemplating and seeing like trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And ultimately I landed on like going to PA school. And so come like early the new year of 2022, I had like signed up for community college courses because I was missing a couple credits for certain things for PA school. And I was like ready to study for the GRE and like all of that jazz to like get ready to, completely pivot because I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's just, it takes a lot out of you.
Mhm. No, for real. And like this is how I knew like I wasn't meant for medicine because I took the MCAT once and I was under special privileges because during my like cycle that I applied, they
Mm-hmm.
had cut the MCAT hour times because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And just there were so many signs like the hotel I stayed in at the place where I was taking it was an absolute dumpster fire. Like there was like doorknobs missing, there was footprints on the
Oh,
doors. And then
oh.
and yeah, I definitely would have died. I definitely would have died in this place. And then like I switched hotels and I'm so thankful I had my mom there with me because like I was 20 years old at the time. Like, what am I doing?
Mhm.
And then we switched to this other hotel. And then during the night where I'm trying to go to sleep before the MCAT, fire alarm goes off at like 2 in the morning. So like I have
That should have been the red flag right there.
there's so many red flags. And like I had been doing research like since sophomore year of college and I loved it so much more. I was a horrible chemistry student. Well, not horrible, but like a B plus was like my peak chemistry grade.
Mm, I feel that. Yep.
So like it was just not there were so many signs. And then after I took the MCAT, I was just like, I can't do this again.
Hmm.
And like I knew like then and there, like if I don't get on this cycle, I just can't do it. And then lo and behold, my MCAT score was horrible. So I was just like, okay, we're going. Well, not
Hmm.
horrible, but like I wasn't getting in anywhere. So I
Yeah.
guess horrible. So I guess horrible. But
Yep. I feel that.
so yeah, so like I think you being able to take it not just once, but 4 times
Yeah.
and do the cycle multiple times, that's just a level of like perseverance and strength for this career that I just never had. So like amazing
Sometimes,
respect to you.
sometimes I'm like, is it strength or is it just delusion?
I mean,
I
hey,
was a little delulu, let's be honest.
but the Delulu came true.
Fair, fair.
But no, I love living in delusion. Like
Hmm.
you're looking at the guy who got rejected from med school and then took the GRE a week later and then got a full ride to go do his master's. Like
Oh my God, that was a quick turnaround. Damn.
the devil works hard, but Jacob Watts works harder.
Get it. Get it.
So like I feel like you have to be a little delusional like in this life. I mean like we have ugly ass men like running the world and married
Mm-hmm.
to like some of the hottest women I've ever seen. So
I was actually funny enough. I was just telling a friend the other day. I was like, if women made decisions, the world might run a little bit better. But that's just me.
no, literally. And I I'm currently in a lab now that is run by women. Like
Mhm.
the PI is a woman, the postdoc is a woman, the lab manager is a woman, the like not the eldest, but like the PhD student who's been there the longest is a woman.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like it all runs like so smoothly. Everything
Mhm.
makes sense. Like we have regularly scheduled meetings where like, and not just meetings for the sake of having meetings, but like actual beneficial meetings.
Yeah, not meetings where you can just summarize in an email and you're like, why am I here for an hour and a half?
Yeah, like it's actual like effective like reasoning.
Mhm.
And then if
Yep.
it's not, to be like, listen, this is what I want to discuss. See this email. We're not meeting today. Just like read this. And if you have any questions, let me know. And like I've been in 3 research labs, and this one right now is probably the most well ran.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we also have more money, so that might also be.
Well, people don't have to know about that part. We'll cut that out.
Cut that out. This is actually the poorest we've ever been. We're actually operating on the side of the road.
Jacob's like with a Starbucks company, like, I need change. Thank you.
Every grad student ever, ever.
Oh, I feel that. Me with my student loans. Love it.
Yeah, but like once you like start making like doctor money, like you'll be fine.
Yeah, everyone says that. I'm like, I have to get there first. So send a prayer.
Okay, but speaking of getting there, do you have an idea of like what kind of specialty you want to go into?
Uh, yeah, sort of. It kind of really depends on how things pan out, like you might have a specialty that you have in mind that you want to do, but like life might not have that for you
Yeah.
because like, when you're applying for residency, again, it's like applying for med school or applying for undergrad, like you have to get chosen per se. But at the moment, um, I think I want to do something surgical,
Hmm.
because clearly don't I hate my life. Um, he said more school, 7 more years. Come on, baby.
I mean, you're looking at the dude who's been in school since 4 years old, who probably won't get done until he's 28, 29.
Yeah, yeah.
So
We're just, coming back to our delusion. We're just out here.
coming back to the delusion. And no, I'm also getting older to the point where it's just like, so Jacob, when are you gonna get married? I was just like, I have a dissertation to do. Like,
Literally, my father the other day, my dad, we were just in the car, and she's like, "Seeing anybody? Um, are you planning on getting married?" I'm like, "Dad, I literally am not surviving in medical school right now, let alone trying to care for somebody else."
do you get asked if slash when you're having children? Because I've been asked that, and I'm not even in a relationship.
No, because I think their priority is the fact that if I'm seeing anybody, because we have not crossed that threshold yet. So I don't think that is.
So very proper, very very proper. Be like, so like anybody? Like, are you seeing anybody at all?
Yeah, I think that's what prompted my dad to ask me, like, if you're ever gonna even get married. And I was like, hold on there, bucko.
I may have a wedding. I may not get married, but I will have a wedding. Because I I love a show. I absolutely love a show. Like there's gonna be dance sequences, there's gonna be musical numbers, there's gonna be
Okay.
confessionals. Like
It's like a whole 3-day production, is what I'm hearing.
it's a series. It is a series. It's a series. I feel so bad for the man who marries me. Like
You're like, you're gonna go through the Jacob Eras tour. Thank you.
Jacob Eras tour. I honestly thought about doing that. Like thought of like for my birthday, because I'm gonna be turning 25 this year.
Hmm.
I was just like, okay, my birthday, everybody has to dress up. Like even like not even if I'm not seeing you, you have to dress up in like my favorite era. And like people tell me I have eras, and I think really don't think I do because I feel like I'm very, like very plain. Do you feel like you have like eras? Like the way that Taylor does, like distinct eras?
No, I feel like I'm just always stressed and, not knowing what I'm doing with my life. I'm in one era and it's been too long.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so funny. That's so relatable. So relatable. Oh my goodness. Well, Steven, as everyone knows, this is the question I ask every season 2 participant. It'd be so funny if, like, one of the episodes that I filmed, I just did not ask this question. Oops.
Oop.
But if you could go back in time
Mhm.
and tell your younger self, like, one thing, like either in your academic career or personal or like professional life, career, whatever, what would you tell yourself?
I'll give you two
Okay.
because one is more realistic and the other one is like me with my thoughts right now. Um, One would be immediately be like, no, don't go to med school. This ain't it. um, but if it was the same life trajectory as I have had planned, I would probably just go back to I think my high school self, especially like my junior year self. Is that like don't be too stressed about like academics. Kind of like I wish I had lived my life a little bit more during that time because like with everything that went on academically during that time, I was real stressed. Mental health was not great. And looking back in retrospect, I was like, you know, everything worked out. I don't know why I had to be that stressed. And I think that kind of just applies anytime. Like the world's gonna still rotate. You failing that exam is, just a minor blip in your timeline. It might seem like a ginormous like downfall, but in retrospect, those exams, those things, they're all gonna come and go. You're gonna have more of them in the future. But like I think experiences like being in the moment with your friends and stuff like that, those are going to be things that you cherish a lot more and remember a lot more. And just kind of don't be too uptight with like academics and just, live your life as well. At the end of the day, things will fall into place and it'll work out.
Until you're on this interview and you say, "Don't go to medical school."
I stand by that, honestly. I'm sorry. Whoever's listening who are pre med, it's a
Don't.
scary world out there. Reconsider.
This is pre-step 1, Steven talking.
Oh, yeah. I'm like gearing up to study for that and I am stressed.
Yeah. My friend, she just, like, this past summer, she's M3 here at UK, and
Mhm.
she took step 1, and when I tell y'all it's a battle, it was a battle.
Yeah. Yeah. If you thought the MCAT was hard, I was like, it's also like 8 hours and it's like everything you learned in your past 2 years. And I was like, love this. Love this.
Yeah. And see, this is why I know I cannot do medical school, because the multiple exams, because you have MCAT, you have step 1, you have step 2, and then
Mhm.
you
And then
have
you have boards. And then every year after that, to keep your certification for whatever specialty you're in, you're gonna have to renew your boards. And I'm like, I
you have to
told my
renew your
mama,
boards every year.
I don't think it's every year, but it expires.
Which on some hands you're like, okay, good, like I see this,
Hmm.
but like all these hoops, that's a lot of jumping. And I look at me, I don't jump.
Jacob, I am the clown and I joined the circus and I'm jumping through hoops that are on fire.
Sad.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but you'll have the doctor money. Like, once you get out of the $300,000 of debt, which is just the average medical school
Hmm.
loan rate now.
Hmm.
Just for everyone knows, I just didn't pull that number out of my ass. Do you know what, like, the first, like, big boy purchase you're gonna make is?
Therapy. Truth be told, probably therapy, and then probably getting my parents a nice car. But
Oh, okay.
I told you, I'm a little unhinged.
No, because like it reminds me of that TikTok be like, when I am rich, you're getting therapy, you're getting therapy, you're getting double therapy, everyone is healing.
hmm I'm the one with double therapy.
Yeah. Sounds of it, you might need triple therapy.
uh, check in with me in May when I take step one.
We see like Steven has like no hair left. He's aged like 50 years to be like, it's been 74 years.
Literally, my mom before med school started was like, "Wow, when you come out of this, you're gonna be bald." I was like, "Thanks, mom."
Be like, this is the genetics you gave me.
Exactly. I was like, "Whose fault is this? Not mine."
No. Like I like my family, like no tea, no shade. I love y'all. We have the worst hairlines. Like we have thin hair and we have receding hairlines. And when I was born, my heart like either stopped or dropped, I'm not sure. And they had to like use like a toilet plunger like a thing to pull me out. So it
Oh,
pulled my hairline up and like there's a bump on my head. My hairline starts like where my hairline ends where my shirt collar is. Like there's hair follicles right there.
oh.
So I'm like, I got a facelift at 5 minutes old. Like this is so rude. But
It's you know,
yeah,
it's fine. We're
no,
living it. We're living it.
it's not fine. Like we just say it's fine because we have no other choice.
Oh, 100%. Everything around me is on fire, but it's fine.
Like this is where we're at. This is where
hmm
we're at.
This is the hand we're dealt, and I don't know how to play poker.
Oh. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for being on this week's episode of the show. I definitely had a good time. It was so fun, like finally getting to meet you, like and have an
hmm
actual conversation.
Likewise,
Yeah.
and thank
We
you for
wish
having
you
me.
Oh, it was all our pleasure. I say our as if I have a team.
You will. You will.
I
We're manifesting again. Manifesting.
manifesting while we're asking for it. Like ask for everything, babes. Like you can always work your way down. You can't work your way up.
Mhm.
There's a joke there. But definitely wishing you the absolute best. You're gonna kill step one. We're manifesting this right now.
Thank you.
And if you guys want to follow along for Steven's unhinged Instagram captions, his Instagram will be linked in our video description and on our podcast episode page. So just be sure to go follow him. And also be sure to follow the podcast on Instagram threads, like us on Facebook, Twitter. I will never call it X because that's stupid.
Oh God,
And
no.
be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to your podcast. Let us know what you like about the show, what you want to see for future seasons. And if you think that you should also be living in Delulu, because we do,
hmm Come join the club.
come join the club. And Stephen, any parting piece of advice for the children at home? I say children, they're probably older than us.
Fuck around and find out, people.
There we go. And as always, I am Jacob Watts, and I am living in Delulu. Have a good morrow, everyone. Bye.